Right, hello internet. How are you doing? This is Nephente, vocalist of NETHERBIRD and RIKET, long-time metal fan, as I guess most of you guys are. Trying to stream continuously, and I set out to do this since I was utterly bored with lockdown, and I mean, we're living in strange times, and there is it's gonna go on for some time, no doubt. But we gotta do we gotta try stuff to pass the time, and my intention is obviously to also help you pass your time, which is important, and try to be constructive. And I am also trying to push music that I, with my fantastic taste in music, think more people should hear. Tends to be black death metal, but there's also other stuff going on there. I have to admit, I've had a dip myself. I've been doing pretty well, been resilient, I think, but this stuff gets to us all. We have better days and we have worse days, and when I'm not keeping 100% occupied, I can certainly feel that this is taxing. But try to act as smart as I can, and I hope everyone does, and that means, wash your hands, keep distance, use mask if those are advised, and don't spend your time mongering hatred and false or unconfirmed news or whatever on Facebook, because when you look back on these times, because this will be historical times, when we look back and my YouTube stream doesn't begin. What the fuck? Well, that's typical. Please don't. It's nice that you give me this information. The problem is I am not sure how to fix that. I will stop it and try to start it again, and we'll see. I got through the chat that the YouTube stream didn't start. We'll see if it does now then. Otherwise, I hope people will find their way to the Facebook stream, because I'm doing this multicast where I send stuff both to Facebook and to YouTube, and I have software and stuff, but I need way more hardware to push it out in the best format possible. But I hope this will start it. Okay, could you confirm or unconfirm that it started? And since I obviously don't have a huge media team, I can't send out my best technicians to solve this problem, because I don't have any technicians. So I do as we always do in the underground. We make do with what we got. And if it doesn't start on YouTube, then I will post it on YouTube as soon as we are done with this stream. So yeah, that is how it is. Well, in any case, like I said, dipping a bit, but trying to be resilient, and I hope you guys are as well. Like I said, I have this YouTube channel, Nephente Talks, where I post all the stuff, and most viewers watch this afterwards. So if you're viewing this in a review format, greetings to you as well. And also on Facebook, and I'm also doing the Facebook stream in collaboration with various partners, and I'm grateful for the fact that the underground is truly the underground, because you get quite some help when you ask for it, and I think that is mainly the soul of the underground, is that when someone tries to do something, people are quite eager to help out, actually, which I think is really cool. but they can't help you with your stream when it doesn't start as it should. I can't do much about it. We'll go with this, and I'll push the YouTube stream out on the YouTube afterwards. But I've been thinking a little bit, because I've been doing this for I don't know now, since April, and I did a YouTube channel presentation, and I have to say, when I read it afterwards, I was a little bit offended by my own stupidity, because there I don't know what I was thinking, but I posted like the voice of the Swedish underground, which is bullshit. There is no voice, not one voice of the Swedish metal underground. One of the voices, but I bring voices from the Swedish underground and beyond, I hope, because we all, you know, we all got something to contribute. But I felt stupid for writing like that, and it changed. But if there is one voice of the Swedish metal underground, it's LG Petrov, and I don't normally, you know, put news here, but I was stricken with the news of him falling ill to the fucking disease, cancer, and I feel so enormously grateful for everything he has done for all the music that I love, and I feel so eager to do whatever I can, and I've donated, of course, but I urge everyone, because if there is one true voice of the underground, I think it's LG Petrov, and he has a GoFundMe page where you can support him, because yeah, healthcare in Sweden is not expensive, but there is not much income for anyone in the extreme metal at the best of times, and especially not now. And if you're also fallen ill, being at least financially helped will make a huge difference. So I urge everyone, donate just a little if you got it, or a lot if you got it, because I don't think any gift that I could ever give is even close to the gift of the music he creates, and I hope he will create for a long time, because it's invaluable. So I'm no doctor. I'm a metal fan, and I hope, if it's not a full recovery, I really hope it's combated at the best of abilities, and that he's gonna ride through it in the best way possible. But this is tough stuff, and I don't know LG personally. I've met him a few times, and so has, I think, everyone who's ever listened to extreme metal, because he's a very nice guy, always have time, and really class act person. And the few minutes I've shared a cigarette and a beer with him, he's always been, you know, this what I wish I could always be, you know, cheerful and chatty and just positive. So awful news, but I hope for the best. And you can, I mean, check out the new leak video. I don't dare to play it now for copyright reasons. I will try the snippets next time, but I mean, the stuff that he started to create is as alive and as kicking today as it was almost 35 years ago. And I mean, what a genius those guys are. And like I said, we hope for the best, but hoping is something we all can do, but contributing is something we all should do. So please do that. Because like I said, it touched me. I think for a lot of people it's the same thing. And this year can go and fuck itself, seriously, because it's been too much. But I think everybody can attest to that. And for all the reasons, I hope we learn stuff about ourselves and about the society we live in and the planet we live on, and that, you know, it's not all for nothing. But it sounds very hippie-wise to always try to find something positive in something that I find to be truly negative. And the longer we go on, the more the culture that we all care about, I mean, the music scene, is suffering. And it's bands who we all should support, because, I mean, no one is making a huge amount of money from playing extreme metal, but especially not now, since there are very few live gigs. But you also have all the other people involved in live gigs: stagehands, merchandisers, light people, sound people, roadies. I mean, there are so many people involved. And then you have the venues, the small venues that don't always get packed by people if you don't have these type of events coming. And then you have all the organizers. And unlike bands, all these groups that I mentioned are people who will not get anything from Spotify or any merchandise sold. So we really need to see also how we can help them out, because we're all gonna need them eventually when we can start doing gigs again. And then it's too late maybe if we didn't, you know, reach out earlier. But it's hard. I mean, we all know people who are involved in the scene. Make sure they're okay, and see if there is anything we can do. But right now, like I said, I urge you guys to donate to LG. I also think my talks, this stream has been maybe a bit long, and I've been dragging on and just blabbing. And I mean, I'm a fucking fascinating guy. I mean, I'm great. At least my mom used to say I was. But in all seriousness, so instead of doing like a 30-minute pre-roll, I am honored and happy to have a guest with me. And if technology works, you will also be able to see him and hear him. But let's see what gives. So this is Sebastian from Necrophobic.
Sure is. How are you? Let's see if I can do this right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I changed the angle a little bit. I'm doing fine. Like I said, I mean, I don't know LG personally. I'm sure you met him a million times.
Many times.
Yeah. And but I see at least that people are responding to the GoFundMe, which is I'm so delighted to see that the community is there.
Yeah.
But I brought you in because I have a million questions for you, of course. Since I mean, I'm a long-time fan since, you know, forever. But I have, I mean, if you just give a few words, I mean, who are you, and when did you start with extreme metal, and how did Necrophobic and all of this come into your life? I mean,
well, I've been in this scene since it started in Sweden, and like from the late 80s, and we had all these kind of bands, and some of the people that I play with now were in some of those bands, and I think I went to the same school that the guys in Necrophobic had gone to. Like, they are a year or two older than me, so I found some graffiti on like the chairs with metal bands I had never heard of, and I was more into thrash metal, and death metal was new to me, so I learned a lot from Joachim and Black Moon's old graffiti. But then we were in the same gangs, you know, in the same, we had the same friends. So I followed Necrophobic from the demos till the first record. And actually when they released Nocturnal Silence, I was not that interested in the scene anymore. It was in 1993, and I think death metal had more or less collapsed after the D-side gig at Fryshuset.
Yeah, were you there?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, everybody was.
Gig, actually.
Yeah, it was one of the most mighty experiences with all lit up, and still Glenn Benton had his charisma it was just fantastic. But after that gig, it was like the air went out of the scene. You know, it was different, and I had a couple of years of backpacking and doing other stuff, and like a lot of, some went to the black metal scene, and some went out of the metal scene, and I went traveling. And then I met with the guys in Necrophobic again when David left the band. Yeah. And it was pretty natural for them to ask me, that was already in the closest circle, so to say. Of course. And I had no band anymore, so and I really liked at the time the turn Necrophobic had taken from the more old school death metal of the first album, with the EP Spawned by Evil. There was new black metal elements in it. Yeah. That really appealed to me. That was something different, because I was kind of fed up with the old. I mean, being in the scene for so many years, you had heard it all. I mean, and this was something new, and I that really interested me. So I joined the band the summer of '96, and since then I've been with those guys, except for a couple of years now, quite recently when I took a break from the band. But it's pretty much my life, Necrophobic. Almost everything I have written is down into this band. So
it's pretty cool. And I mean, for you, it's a natural thing. I've always been a fan since you know, the first demo tape I found, and because I spoke to my main guitarist yesterday, and he's like, yeah, but Necrophobic always had, you know, excellent guitar work. So even as a guitarist, even if you're not really into this type of music, you can always listen to the guitar works of Necrophobic, and it stands out. And I think, you are a fairly proficient guitarist, right?
Thank you. I don't see it like that myself, you know.
I'll know.
Yeah. But I think David was a bit over the standard when he started the band, and his solos were very different from the tremolo solos, the Slayer-like solos that really led to nowhere. And he had a lot of melody in his soloing, and just like he was very much inspired by hard rock and heavy metal of the 80s. I know he loved Key Marcello's work on the Europe albums and stuff like that he pulled into the extreme metal. And I think I do pretty much the same. I find my inspiration for the solo works outside of extreme metal, and then I combine that with the riffing that is inspired by this scene, and I think that has lived with the band for all these years, that the solo works or the guitar work will stand out a bit, because we don't take the inspiration from the same source as the other bands.
Yeah, and I think I actually have a secondant here who said that there is chats in the Facebook. I will look that up later on. But and I think every band has traits, and they make them stand out. And if you're going to stand the test of time, like you guys, you got to have something there, which is unique, or at least unique enough to stay relevant. Because otherwise, I mean, how could you find the inspiration to go on? Prior to doing this stream, I get stuff sent in, so I have a few questions before we're going to touch upon the subject that you know, I'm curious to talk to you about. And this, in your opinion, can fame and public success be compatible with underground status? Can a band belong to the underground even after it reaches a broader audience?
If not possible for the band, the members of the band, sure, can stand in the underground. I'm still as much of a metal fan as I have always been. You know, I'm still the 12-year-old Sebastian that explored music from the beginning. So I have certainly not left the underground, but I think Necrophobic is no longer. I mean, what is the underground? The underground is when you tape trading, when you do demos by yourself, when you print your own shirts, when you buy your plane tickets and you play for free. We don't do that anymore. So of course, in that sense, I don't think we're underground, but we're underground minds. Yeah. But if someone said, "Hey, your band is not underground anymore. You have lost track of where you came from." Yeah, sure. We play too big stages. We play too much. We are too much into labels and management and stuff like that. We don't do this all by ourselves anymore. So, in that sense, no, Necrophobic is probably not an underground band, but very close to. I mean, we haven't made many bucks from this. No one does, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. But I think also, I mean, yes, you guys are obviously underground as people, because when I asked you, I mean, I am not, you know, a high profile media person. I'm very much a metal fan. Yeah. I asked you, would you like to discuss what we're going to discuss? And you said, yeah, I can do that, which is to me, I did a similar interview with Johan in Tiamat, and he was also like, sure, I can do it. But still, Tiamat is a big band, but he as a person has very much, you know, the underground persona thing.
But you know, in the music business, all of us are underground bands. I mean, there's a huge step from Necrophobic to Slayer, and there's a huge step from Slayer to Iron Maiden. You know, even Slayer is almost underground in that sense. Yeah. I mean, Necrophobic is nothing, and even the biggest acts are almost underground. So it depends, but we don't, like you say.
But the reason why I wanted to, you know, get to talk to you a little bit, because we're part of the same Facebook group where there was some discussions, because people were starting to post. They posted some links to Bosom, and they got banned for it. And people was like, "Yeah, but what the fuck? This is censorship." And you took your time to write what I think was a fairly balanced and thoughtful answer. Is like, yeah, but guys, we don't pay to be here. We use an international platform, and they have their standards, and this is what happens when you know, our ideals clash with the ideals of these corporations. And so I was curious to talk a little bit about, I mean, obviously right now we are streaming. We're streaming on Facebook, global player. Yeah. I was supposed to also be streaming on YouTube, but because fuck me and Murphy's Law, it doesn't seem to start, at least not where it was intended to. But these are two global platforms. And as soon as you and me get on here talking, we give them full right to, I mean, record everything and also have an opinion about everything. Yeah. And what does this do to underground music?
Yeah, and that was the reason for me arguing with myself in that post, because it's obvious if you use this is a private platform. There's someone else with money runs this, and if we want to have a music career on their platform, of course they can write the rules. It's not much I can do about it. I cannot say, hey, Facebook, I need to say exactly what I want at any time, and you can just accept that. That's not going to happen. And but still, I felt like this scene and the bands that built the scene, and some of those bands that built the scene are now banned from, like, the scene. Yeah. And I felt that there's not an easy reaction to that. You know, no. If we take that away from our history, then why are we doing this? Is this a clean version of? I mean, then we're everything that Norway in 1992 hated. You know.
Yeah, we've become exactly, and all of us are willingly trading off that integrity in order to get reach, or potentially get reach, right?
Yeah, because it's the only platform right now to do that. And you know, even Euronymous, when he had his shop in Oslo, he said he was pretty upfront that he needed money to do his underground work. And he said, I have to sell these shitty live metal albums in order to produce high quality black metal albums. That was not a strive for that. It's like this. I need this money from this shit to give you this. And I think we are pretty much in the same situation, and it's no use pretending it's not like this, because all my contacts, all the fans of Necrophobic, all the organizers, the labels, all the promoters, everything I need to do this music career, this step over underground, is out on the net, and especially Facebook. And right now, because there is no MySpace and stuff like that, I need to use this, and I need to, because everything I say now in this interview someone will find it and someone will use it against me. That's where we're at. But I'm afraid that if I start to censor myself, what will that do to my music? Because when I turn off the screen and write my music, there's no one hanging over my shoulder telling me what I can do or what I can write. So that is truly from the heart. But if I promote it to tune certain parts down here, I mean, what's left? Yeah.
And I mean, also, I mean, we are leaving the physical, because I mean, you mentioned tape trading, and of course, I mean, we could write whatever the fuck we wanted on those cassettes, because who was there to stop us? And those cassettes, they are still out there. But today, there are bands that will never, ever, I think, release a physical product whatsoever. So nobody can own the art they are making. And that's nice and fine today, maybe. But in 20 years from now, let's make a scenario. Spotify is then acquired by, you know, venture capital, who then, you know, handle this investment, you know, poorly, and it becomes a new Me Too. But now instead they are looking out. I mean, we have a new moral panic, say, like we had in the early 80s, and all of a sudden people are starting to say, "Fuck, black metal should be banned. All of it should be banned." And Spotify caves in, or whatever they're called then, and then everything we created is gone.
Yeah, and I think that is about to happen. I mean, if you look into the whole extreme genre, especially death metal, that no one raised their hand and say, "But Cannibal Corpse, guys, well, actually, what are they saying?" You know, it's not good things in the sense of good that this genre has written about. So I think it can totally implode. And I think what the problem is, Facebook has become a political arena. You know, a few years ago, as my wife said today, it was about posting what movie you would see and what food you would have, or how happy you are, or something. But it's not anymore. It's become a political arena, and it's also the sponsors and the ones paying for this are very sensitive for that, because that means a large number of people can turn their backs if not the right thing says. And as much as the ones trying to hunt down black metal wants, black metal is not political music at all. No. And this is a clash. You know, we're trying to have our black metal music career on a political arena. I mean, this is crazy. If we have an album called Death to All, if I stand on a stage in anywhere in Europe and scream Death to All, I will get positive response from the audience, and they will understand just exactly what kind of war cry that is, and everybody will like, yeah, fuck. But you know, if you say the same thing where people are talking politics, this will not land well. It's like no. You cannot say this stuff when people take every word serious for what it is, you know. And this has been so obvious now that I think we have to leave. I honestly think we have to leave and kind of start MySpace or something again, similar, where we ban politics like they ban the art of the freedom of art, you know, yeah. Because that's what they do. And it's fine on the political arena. You can control what will be said, or at least meet up with hard ammunition if we say stupid stuff. I mean, it's fine. Yeah. It's a political arena.
And I've been thinking the same thing, that we are paying also a very hefty price, because there were a few years, a grace period, where even small bands could get a huge reach. I mean, MySpace allowed it. If you worked hard, you could build an audience. It fucking worked, because people were actually there for music, at least, you know, until whatever. And on Facebook, you had that, you had a grace period, but now you have to pay quite a hefty amount to reach out. So the underground is once again banned to be underground. Even, you know, on Facebook, you can't reach if you're not on serious labels. I mean, you guys have some label muscles behind you. So you get some Spotify traction and Facebook and YouTube. But for most underground bands, it's, I would say it's harder than ever to actually reach out, because these are commercial platforms, and commercialism has once again sort of claimed the music industry and, you know, reclaimed what it used to have. But the even worse problem, I think, is that one day they might go and start to remove our past completely.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we owe it to ourselves to... I mean, I'm a vinyl collector, and when we release new music, the label meets my demands to some extent, that they would release the kind of do the kind of releases I would buy. Yeah. They are maybe not that interested in cool gatefolded editions of this and that, but we want to release your album, Sebastian, so you can get this. You cannot get all this, but you can get this. And I think if artists give away their music to only stream or to only, I mean, even CDs doesn't last that well, but you have to take care of your art, and you have to have another hard drive than Spotify to upload it to. You know, you have to take care of that yourself. Yeah, you have to see that it will be printed or saved in some kind of, so that you can spread it yourself. Maybe by tape trading again. It's fine.
Yeah, maybe. To be honest, tape trading also, what it required was effort, because I think that's another problem with Spotify and all of these platforms, is that it's effortless, but it's only effortless as long as you let their algorithms rule. That is, to really discover the underground, it still requires an effort, which most people don't make anymore. But also, you're looking for a needle in a haystack. If we had some other repository where this stuff was, you know, stored indefinitely, maybe someone is building it. I don't know. We should buy MySpace. It can't be that expensive today.
That's true.
Revamp this shit.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, because of this Corona shit, it's, I'm pretty old school. I don't listen. I can look up a band on Spotify, but if I like something by the first song I hear, I immediately order it on the physical format, and then I wait until I get it, because I want to do it the old way. I want to have the smell of it and stuff. Also, because we're on the roads and it's live, I see bands. Check. So I'm pretty much able to find new bands on Spotify. I need to see them live, or I need to have the word by mouth, so on. You know, but
yeah.
But it's a strong live community for this kind of music. There are a lot of people, and there are a lot of festivals, and I think the scene is better than maybe ever, because there are a lot of people everywhere around the world coming to the shows. So now we're in crisis when we cannot meet anymore.
Yeah,
this is bad for the scene.
This is really bad, and it also shows us how extremely vulnerable we are as art. I mean, our art is so dependent on so many factors we cannot control.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wake-up call from hell. Also because we are now, I mean, even the shittiest underground gig is done at a venue where there are like authority control. It wasn't like that in the 90s. You played in a fucking basement, and you know there was blood on the floor and nobody cared. But because that's also, how do you see the trade-off there? Because I mean, you guys, you don't play a shitty basement in Jakobsberg. You play big festivals, which are also commercial entities. How do you see it there? Is there a sacrifice, or is that, you know, a necessary evil? It's not, I mean, a festival can't go back and remove your performance 5 years ago, so that's not a problem in that sense. It's not like Spotify could, but
I think you always had to behave and be a good guy with every contact you had throughout the whole history. You know, no one wants to book an asshole. It was not accepted in 1989, not in 1995. I mean, we didn't take our instruments out in the woods, find some random place and pull up the amps and just do a gig. You know, it was always a lot of people involved, and you always had to treat people within the scene with respect, and that is not much different. You still have to be a nice guy, and to labels and to every stage personnel, of course, and everybody involved. Otherwise, you will not survive. I mean, you get a bad reputation pretty fast, and so I don't think you have to compromise within. Because when you're out there, you're within the scene. You know, you're when we do this through Facebook, it's something different. But when we're with scene people in the scene, it's. I mean, we are together. It's our scene.
Yeah.
So that's a different thing, totally. But of course, what do you do if you're booked to a gig and the organizer cancels a few of the bands because they have, you know, maybe this band is not totally great? What do you do then? That's another question. If you realize that you are booked to something you cannot stand for, and it can be in a good way or a bad way. It can be the other way around, that they all of a sudden start to book like NSBM bands to the same gig, and this doesn't feel that good anymore. I mean, what bands do you want to be shown with, and so on. So, but I think as long as you know where you stand and what you want to do with your music, and as long as you don't have a political drive behind it, I think it's pretty fine.
Yeah. I don't see it as potentially not so much of a problem either. It's always hard to check out a festival organizer, but normally they have a track record. You can see who play there, and you can see how they normally, present stuff. So I mean, but labels can be another tricky thing. They can have had a band which is dubious, and your band, which is new, get the chance to sign. Should you do it or not do it? I mean, because you mentioned it earlier. these days you can follow the trace everywhere, so it doesn't take many assholes to actually make you go down with them if you're unlucky. You guys are established enough. I mean, nobody will, you know, just, oh, I think they all changed their mind all of a sudden. I mean, you have your track record. You have nothing to prove in that sense. But for newer bands, it can be complicated, I think. Then again, I could never Google Wild Rags in the early 90s. Today you can, so.
Yeah, but it was... that is kind of... I mean... It changes all the time, and like we said, what is okay, what was okay to sing about, to write about 10 years ago, can all of a sudden be not okay, and then it will take that whole part of the scene down. But I think, I mean, at the moment, people are looking for clean artists with a clean record. You can never have done anything wrong ever, and I think that will pass because no one is clean. No one is
especially
clean.
No artist.
No, of course not. I mean, we're all done wrong, and we all said things, and we have been young, but right now, the most extreme thing you have said in your life is what they will find, and they will say, you said at one time, August 1989, you mean that for life. That is your, I mean, that's your drive behind this music. You said those words. And,
exactly.
Yeah, and
we found you out.
Yeah, and it cannot go on for that too much longer, because everybody will be pointed out. At some point, everybody will be pointed out. I mean, the mass hypnosis or hysteria on the Facebook, where something can be a good thing, gets a lot of backup, but it just takes a lot of people down, and then it's the next thing. I mean, when the circle is full, no one of us can be there anymore. I mean, then Facebook will be empty.
I think you're completely right. And if you look, I'll make two quick reflections of what you said. I've been to the National Museum in Stockholm. It's reopened, and they had a very, I'm not even going to use the words, but you know, a very correct person has written, you know, and every fucking piece of art now is like, yeah, here you can clearly see how sexist they were. Yeah, but for fuck's sake, it's 400 years ago. I mean, I'm sure he was. But sometimes we got to accept that, well, in those days things were different, and we don't need to, you know, cafe latte everything to today's standard, because then we end up in a problem. And also, those artists were not clean at all.
No, of course.
You can't find one who was like an exemplary human being.
Yeah, but is it? I mean, the importance of art, is what it does to the viewer. I mean, when I look at art, if I look at sexist art or you know, it's the importance of the art. Is what it does with me. You know, I don't care about what he meant 400 years ago. It's what will I do with this information? Will this be a good thing through me, or will this be a bad thing? Will I get bad ideas? Sexism, that's great. I'm going to be sexist. Finally. Or will it trigger me to be different in my relationship with my wife or something? I mean, art shouldn't be explained, and now people are shitting themselves to we're still hanging this art here, but as you see, it's very sexist, you know.
Exactly.
And it's because they are afraid, and they need to protect themselves and protect their museum from someone tearing the art down. And I don't want to come to a future where I have to explain all the lyrics, all the music, or why I only express the darkest side of my mind in the music. If I have to explain this, then I think I will just record the songs for myself and listen to it. I will not release it anymore. I mean, what's the point of it? I want to trigger other people with other backgrounds and see what the music does in them. You know. I don't want to give them do it like this, you know.
And the thing is also, as soon as, I mean, if you're an artist and we create, or even worse, when you're a musician, you collaborate with other artists and you put it out there, it's no longer yours. It's up to someone else. It means something for you, but it will mean something for someone else. And we can never guarantee what this person will take away from this. It's like Nietzsche gets the blame for all this and that. But he wrote the text. He didn't even want to publish the shit. His sister did. And now somebody gets the wrong idea 200 years down the road. So it's impossible for us as artists to guarantee whatever. And I think it's insane that we should even have to worry about it. But Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, all of these guys make us worry in a way we never did before, because all of a sudden we're under scrutiny. Yeah,
but I think there's one important discussion that has not been said around this. And I mean, black metal and death metal sounds pretty extreme. It has very extreme lyrics. But it's all about, special black metal is about the individual. You know, this is about how I feel. It's not about spreading the gospel of black metal. These are my feelings. This is how I feel, and this is the music that will accompany it. You know, I don't try to make you feel the exact same. I like to see the reaction when you hear it, but I don't try to force you into being something else. But then we have, if you have. And we have a lot of musicians. There are artists that create, because this music is in their heart. You know, this comes out. I have to create this. But then we have, when we're talking about activists, and we have politically people they have a political drive and they want to change the world. You know, this is, I fucking hate animal cruelty, say. And I have to change the world. So what I will do, I will start a band to sing about this. Then we have the kind of very often hardcore music, which to untrained ear sounds pretty much like black metal or to death metal. You know, it's a lot of noise. And I think when people are first politically involved and then do music to spread the words, it's a totally different thing from artistic people doing this kind of music. But these two groups doesn't understand each other, because the ones that are activists and want everybody to change the world together, they also think, of course, these black metal guys must also want to change the world into this, whatever it might be. But it's not that. This is the big difference. Black metal is not about mass hysteria. It's not about changing the world at all. It's about letting me be by myself in the fucking woods and writing whatever lyrics I want to write. I don't want to force you into anything. And even the religious black metal bands, like if we have Vatain that have some more spiritual work, they're very clear with saying that our temple and this mass that we have at this concert, this is for us. This is not to invite you to spread the gospel of this. You can watch it if you like, but this is our thing. But we don't invite you to move this world into this hellish place we describe as something. That's the difference. And a lot of... Really interesting observation. Really interesting. Because the motivation behind said lyrics or said performance is very important. But to the untrained eye, it might be impossible to discern one from the other, right? Sounds the same, and there's a lot of people together doing something we don't understand. I mean, as always, and then we panic, and then we spin a Kiss record backwards to find satanic messages, but we miss out that Venom did it, you know, forwards. But whatever. But I think, is there a serious discussion, you think, about how we should tackle this, or are we sort of early adopters having this discussion? Because I think
this is crucial. Not today, but in 5 or 10 years from now, I think it will make a huge impact on you know, where we steer this movement.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, those who speaks up for black metal aren't always thoughtful on the net. A lot of hard, extreme words spewed out in the heat of the moment, and then we'll never get these kind of discussions. But I think instead of just swallowing everything when you're under the attack of the mainstream movement or something, then you just say, sorry, we didn't mean this. We fucking meant it, but we didn't mean it to change the world. This is my inner, this is the feeling I wake up with. This is the feeling you have when you go on the public transport to work. Yeah, fucking kill everybody. I mean, this is not something you really want, but you have these feelings, and I think it's important to separate black metal from the political arena, and it's important to take this discussion. There are no black metal rallies to change the world. I have been in this scene with the core members for fucking 30 years. No one has sat down beside me and said, hey, Sebastian, you know, we're doing this because there's going to be a new world order and we are going to change it. No, not one time. But if you hang around with punks or hardcore people, you have that discussion at every party, you know. What fuck can we do to change this injustice and stuff like that? But people have to realize that this is not what this is about. This is art in the sense of real art, an art that actually dares to trigger the dark side of the mind, and that dares to talk about death, dares to talk about spirituality that are not very common, or what you say, and that we dare to move the horizon of the individual to give them some kind of experience or make them feel something else than they want to dance, you know, when they listen to music, to widen, you know. And no one has that discussion now, but I think it's necessary, that and leaving the big arenas.
Yeah, I agree, and I think those are like the closing words of an initial discussion. I must say, you outdone yourself when it comes to, you know, how much thought you've put into this, because I could tell from your post that Sebastian's been thinking, obviously. But I think this could be the beginning of many serious discussions where we need to have an idea of where we want to go. Sort of like we got to set that direction, and then we can't know exactly where we're going, but we should at least know where we don't think we should be going. Yeah. And sometimes even, you know, the small steps are easier if you have, you know, some sort of idea. And then, of course, it's like herding cats, because you can't send out a memo to all black metal heads and say, all right, guys, let's do it like this. It goes against everything we are.
Yeah, it does.
But discussing stuff, thinking about stuff, because nothing, I think, is more important to most of us than the music and the art that we care so much about. So I thank you so much for taking time to join me and to share your ideas and thoughts. And I really hope it will spark more conversations. There is a chat that I sadly cannot see. I will have a look there. But I also urge everyone who's watching this now and afterwards to also think about what does it mean to you, and what can we do in order to make sure that the art form is unhindered in the decades to come. But thank you so much. It's been a privilege, and
thank you.
I hope to see you for a beer at some point. We'll figure something out.
For sure.
And best of luck with you, the family, the guitars. I see them on Facebook. Yeah, fuck yeah. And the band, of course.
Thank you.
So thanks for joining, and see you around, sir.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
All right, guys. I'm gonna finish this off. Finish it off. Sounds like I'm gonna shoot myself. I actually am not. But I always love it when I get some thought-provoking input. So, and I hope it also is stimulating for you, because this scene is not what Sebastian or me or a few others can do. It's about what all of us is doing with it, because there is not one voice of the underground. We're all players, musicians and fans. We're in it together, and one cannot exist without the other. So there is no end to how much each of us can contribute when it comes to, you know, where are we heading, and how are people perceiving what we do and what we love and cherish. I thank you all for joining. I think I will need to see for future streams if I only am gonna do them actually on YouTube, because it seems more stable. But we'll see. I'll post the information. But I thank you all for joining. I will answer the chats afterwards, and I wish you a pleasant day, evening, night, and see you around. Cheers.